yet. So I want to just get right into it here, guys, because Adam Israel is joining us from Poland. And I know a lot of people have been following Adam and what he's doing. But I wanted to just go right to you, Adam. And can you fill us in on why you're in Poland and kind of what's transpired over the last 7 days since we did this podcast? Because a lot has gone down.
Yeah. So as many of you may know, that my wife is Polish, from Eastern Poland, and I have family heritage from Eastern Poland too. And so when this war happened and the refugees started to come to Poland, I thought there's got to be something I can do. We still have our family has a small lake cottage here and a 3-seater SUV. So I made a plan. I was just going to come down and drive refugees. It seemed like there was a big need for that. That changed, grew quickly into this group I formed called Letters of Hope for Ukraine. The idea was, Saratogians could write a letter, put in $20, seal it, and as I drove refugees, or as I met refugees, I just hand them a card that would say that the world in America and Saratoga is thinking about them and praying for them, and also give them some spending cash. I could talk for hours about this, but one of the issues they're facing is they're all coming over with their Ukrainian currency. And the problem is there's nowhere that will accept Ukrainian currency now, because it's just flooded the market. So you hear stories of refugees who can get out, and they got out with money and everything they could pack in a couple suitcases, and they were able to drive across the border, only to run out of gas because their currency couldn't pay for things. So these cards, I thought at least would get them gas to get them to the next spot. It quickly grew, and thank you everybody who did a card. They're really doing some special things over here, and people started donating. And so, we to date we've raised I don't know the exact number now, but over $10,000 that we're using to relocate refugees, and it's going pretty well. Right now, I'm in Białystok. It's a city. It's close to the Ukrainian border. It's a large city. So tomorrow, I'm going to fill up my car, the SUV, with materials needed at the border, and drop them off. And we've arranged to pick up another family. This is going to be our fifth family that we're going to pick up and drive them back to Kash's hometown and house them. So that's what's going on in a nutshell.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's the feeling? Like, what's the sentiment? How are people feeling? What's the atmosphere in Poland right now?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of disbelief. When I first landed, I went to Warsaw and went to the Warsaw Central Station, which has really become a hub for a lot of the refugees. And it's surreal. It really is. You have the Warsaw Central Station is connected to a very kind of posh mall in downtown Warsaw, and so you have refugees sleeping all around the train station, and right next door you have a thriving mall. It's a really odd contrast. I can say this though: the Polish people and the Polish government are just, it's amazing what they're doing. They've already taken over 1 million refugees. I say that the train station felt it was the best worst case scenario. With as many people are coming, you have people sleeping, but you have the Polish volunteers walking around when they're saying kanapka, and kanapka is Polish for sandwich, or sock, and they walk around like juice, like you would see at a baseball game. But instead of charging people, this is all volunteers. These are all donated goods. They're registering all the Ukrainians coming in, so they can track them, they can find them. They offer them goods, or they're going to offer them social services very soon. So it's a lot. It's getting worse, unfortunately. But that was the Warsaw Central Station. So. That's that feeling.
If I could jump in, just to ask Adam, when you're out in the streets, is it chaos everywhere, or is it just you mentioned the central station? Like, give me the feel for when you leave that building you're in right now. Is it the same as it's always been, or is it wild?
Yes. So right now, we have friends at the Stack. I'm in their attic doing this podcast. But no. What the reality of the situation is the people leaving are women and children, and they're scared. They're scared. They're scared. They don't know where their husbands are. They don't know what's going to happen to them next. So they stick. They stick to places that feel comfortable with other Ukrainians there. So that's why the train station has so many Ukrainians sleeping there. For instance, go ahead, Robin.
Sorry, just to clarify. So that is because what you've seen is that for the most part, the husbands are staying or going back to Ukraine or staying in Ukraine because they're fighting. Is that correct? That's why everyone is separated.
Yeah, that's why everybody's set, and that's why it's women and children and old men. But that's what you see, and mostly women and children. I think a lot of old men stayed to fight too, and that makes it even more difficult. I think just to see. And I'll give an example of we were evacuating a family yesterday, and it was my brother-in-law and I in Warsaw, and they didn't feel safe riding with two strange men. So a female volunteer drove them 3.5 hours to the hometown, worked with me to get them settled so they felt comfortable, and 3 hours back. And she drove the 3.5 hours back. She left Augusta at 12:30 in the morning, so she wasn't getting home to 4 o'clock in the morning, and she was just a volunteer. So it's really special to see. You see the worst, you see the best in people right now, but it is because of the worst of people too. So,
and you're close to the border, correct? You said you're close to the Ukrainian border right now, where you are?
Yeah, right now, Białystok. Yeah, it's probably about a 2-hour drive, an hour and a half drive. It's the Ukraine borders the Poland on the south, so it's kind of right at the top of the Ukraine where Ukraine is, but it is a major city where you can go and buy bulk goods. So that's why I'm here tonight.
I see. Go ahead, Robin.
Adam, one of the things that I keep observing when I'm, looking at all the coverage, and I don't know if this is what you're seeing as well, but it's this kind of idea that, we could all be living our regular lives, but war happens so quickly. And, next thing you know, it doesn't discriminate with the class, gender, money. War is an equal opportunity animal. And so these are people from all walks of life, and it's people who never expected to be in the position they were in. But
yeah, it really is. You have people from the city centers who are, I don't know if posh is the right word, but more affluent. So they're sleeping on the train floor. You have the villagers, and they're sleeping on the floor. One task I was on today was a hotel in Augusta took in 30 women, and I think they said 11 kids. And once you get to my wife's city, you go to the city hall, and the city hall turned essentially their courtroom into a receiving station. So there's translators there, there's computers, they log in all the refugees, but then the rest is filled with tables of donated goods, right? So when they come in to get checked in, they can do shopping. They go around and they do the shopping and find the things they need. And it is, if this is a week ago, this would have been unheard of. That's how fast it happened. And that's how impressive it is what the Polish government is doing. One thing I want to really quickly say, and I'm going to say this 1,000 times, is we have to offer the Ukrainians refugee status. One of the ladies we have, I'll tell the story real quick. My wife was talking and coordinating with her, and my wife's been doing all the coordination about this, and like everything in our marriage, she does all the work and I get all the credit, but she's doing a great job. But she was talking to this lady and the husband was a policeman, and he was coming over with his wife's sister and their kids and his father. Well, once they started to get acclimated and started to get comfortable with Kasha, he told him that no, he stayed and he's fighting, and he was just nervous about sending his elderly father and sister-in-law and wife and kids with strangers. So it really, it's I'm praying for that man. We're friends on Facebook now, which is kind of cool. To be honest with you, I can't even talk to him right now because I think I would just lose it because he's out there fighting. But I did tell him that his family's safe. So.
Wow. Adam, you don't want to hear praise from us because there's so many doing everything, but we're speaking for Robin, myself, and our viewers. What you're doing is incredible. We could do this podcast for 5 years, and we may never cover a more consequential story with from a Saratoga perspective on such a world event. So I'm moved by what you're doing. I know you don't want the praise, but you're going to get it anyway because this is incredible what you're doing, and I just have to say
thank you.
And I want to jump in and say the same, but also give so much love and praise to Kasha, because Kasha's Adam's wife. She's here. She's raising kids. She's making it all happen. Her family's in Poland.
She's talking to all these. She's coordinating all.
Yeah.
I'll tell kind of two quick more stories, and if you guys have any other questions, great. But one is, tomorrow from the border, we're picking up a family who they were traveling they were on vacation in Egypt when the war happened. Somehow they got to Budapest. They got stuck in Budapest, and they're making their way to the border, or actually to the train station. They're not going to be at the border. They're going to be at the Warsaw train station. And this is how much it's trying to juggle this in your mind. But just to show, can you imagine being on holiday and not knowing if you ever go back to your house? The other thing I'll say that's really unique about this situation is social media, because social media now, the connections you can make is unbelievable. And you can, your Facebook profile is almost like a resume. So you see calls for help when you talk to people, and then it's all translated, which is awesome. So, I'm talking to people who are speaking Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, and we're coordinating these really incredible things, because we message back and forth, and there's no the messaging, the translation, it gets the point across fantastically. So I know social media can be a real pain in the butt sometimes, but what it's done to this unique situation, and the connections I've made, and the trust and friendships that have been built, because you can see this person, right? You can't really fake a Facebook profile. You can go back and see what their life was like and what they were doing. And it's a real quick way to gain trust with them. And that's really aided in me being able to figure out who I can work with and who needs help, and be confident that they're trustworthy, they're being honest. So that's not always the case, but it certainly helps.
Well, we so appreciate you and what you guys are doing. You had the connections and ability to then jump action and on the ground. I know everyone wants to help. They're asking how they can help. I will share. Sorry, I lost you guys for a second. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Robin. Yep.
All right, good. So it's Letters for Hope Ukraine on Facebook is the page that you have. Venmo information is on there if people want to donate. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's Venmo on there. People can donate. I never expected this to be a donation thing, but it's blowing up. So we're going to have other avenues as far as, possibly becoming a 501(c) and being more legit now. But yeah, I mean, right now there's a lot of big money coming in, but there's a lot of things falling through the cracks. And Robin, maybe we could share this, to go on these Facebook groups, these Ukrainian kind of Facebook groups looking for help, and you'll see that there's a lot coming in, but there's a heck of a lot of, a big need out there still, and there's going to be for a while, because Poland. One other interesting point I want to add is you can tell Poland is at its limits. When we came down, when I came here, I don't know, 3 days ago, there was, I think, maybe one family in Kasha's city. They now are no longer accepting refugees because the school system can't handle the kids, so they can't, and that's how serious they're taking this, where they're already enrolling the kids in school in the Polish schools here, and it's kind of like, all right, save as many people as we can, then figure out what the heck to do next. But right now, we're certainly in the just save as many people as they can phase, and I can't praise Poland Poland enough for the generosity and hospitality. And you see it. You see the Ukrainians all the time are talking about how Poland is their brother, and Russia on the other side, what they think of them too. So.
Well, I think we all see so much of ourselves in what's happening with the Ukrainians, and so it feels like it's a for democracy and really good evil. And so I know that my heart is with them, and just so happy you're there. But stay safe, please. Be careful and stay safe, because we need you in one piece, buddy.
Yeah, well, I say if I get bombed, you guys are getting bombed pretty quickly after. So being in a NATO country right now. I appreciate that. And I know, Robin, you and I talked about, real kind of off the cuff, but we'll see if we can make ahead of doing, something from the border tomorrow. So just to kind of shed light on what's going on at the border and bring awareness to this. And again, bring awareness to the fact that the Poland can't absorb an entire country. They're the places, the calls for places to stay are getting louder and sadder. I hate to say it, and because it's filled up. It's like a hotel. There's only so many rooms, and once those rooms fill up, there's nowhere for people to go. I do want to say too, other European countries are certainly stepping up. You see and hear people all the time saying, "Hey, I live in Italy. I have this little, the chateau on a lake. I can take up to 8 people. If you can get here, I can assist with travel." You do see that, but again, the vast numbers. I think I heard it is 80,000 a day right now are crossing the border. So it's not going to get better. It is a humanitarian crisis, but it's a humanitarian crisis that's really going to get teeth pretty soon.
I believe it's the biggest.
To go.
It's the biggest exodus since World War II. I think 5 million people. It's definitely this is going to be going on for a long time, and we'll be here and trying to support Ukraine as much as we possibly can. Dan, anything else to add? I want to let Adam. A lot of work to do.
Adam, just repeat the Facebook page again, and there's a Venmo option, and real quick, tell what that money would do if they donated.
Yeah, so the Facebook is Letters for Hope for Ukraine. The needs, and a little background on me, I've been through disaster area before. I was on a Caribbean island in 2017, and we were hit with 2 Category 5 hurricanes in 2 weeks. So that experience of going through that it does lend itself to this. And something I learned from that experience is true here is the needs change daily, right? So I just saw a call today for the border, and this is why I was going to the border, is that, okay, it's forecasted to get cold. They need long underwear, they need sleeping bags, they need warm supply, so that's right now where the money is going, is to get warm apparel to the border so people coming over don't freeze. For the family that was in Egypt who's coming, I'm going to get some warm apparel for them too, because who knows, you pack for a vacation in Egypt, you're probably not bringing boots and jackets, right? So for them, we're going to get warm clothes. The donations go for the family who came in at 12:15 last night. I went to the market, and just so when they came in, I would not say they had a full fridge, but I eggs, butter, milk, toys, candies for the kids, those kinds of things.
I think you said they have a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old with them. That was a different.
Thing. No, that and I lose track of the kids. There were 2 best friends. One was an economist, one was a social worker, and again, so I think between them they had 5 children with them. Ages 3 to 11, and it's just the children. It's sad. It's sad as a parent to see them, but they're not sad because of and the ones who make it to me aren't, right. The ones who are that's who you're really for. The ones who aren't outside of Ukraine yet. But by the time they make it to me, their parents have normal. I don't know. Normalize is the right word. But not panic them. That kind of go through the motions. This is what we're doing. This is so the kids kind of have looks in their eyes, but in the train station you see them. 10 of them kicking soccer balls around and run. They just kind of form little groups and play around and they're really again not having a good time. But there are thankfully, by the time they get to me, they're not traumatized. There's certainly ones that have passed and that are traumatized, but
Well,
I have told those
parents, we all know, what we have to do in scary situations to put on a brave face. And certainly Ukrainians are putting on a very brave face in everything that they're doing. And so, again, it's so hard to talk about. It makes me very emotional. And I know, Adam, I'm sure it's been so emotional for you as well. But Dan, again, unless you have anything else to add, I want to let Adam go so we can get back to it. But we are going to try to do another live tomorrow from the border. And also, I'm hoping to have some help to talk about refugee status. That's important to get for Ukrainians who are having to flee. But Adam, we love you. We'll keep sharing information on how people can donate.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I just consider myself the mailman. I just bring your mail and good cheers from America to the Ukrainians. So thank you, guys. I'm going to jump off. Thank you, Saratoga.
Adam, thank you.
Glory to
Ukraine. Please be keeping this separate, but we move on the fly with this podcast. So thank you for both joining us. And I just want to editorialize for a minute how, this crazy segue from what Adam is doing. How fortunate are we here in America? I feel guilty every day, and I'm sure you do as well. You go to the ATM, you get money out so you can buy stuff to feed your family. And, imagine this family with kids. I put my kids in a minivan with air conditioning and a DVR, and that's tough enough. I'm so moved by all this that we are so fortunate to be able to talk about our next subject as if it's so serious, and on a local level it is. But at the same time, in the life and death that in the world that Adam's living in right now, we are just so fortunate, and I hope everybody realizes that. I'm not going to apologize for being fortunate, but I am going to appreciate that we can deal with small issues that are not life and death. So with
agree.
With that segue. We have you both on because Saratoga Lake is back in the news. Just a few weeks ago, it was Snake Hill. This week, it's regarding a proposal for condos and commercial space on the south shore of Saratoga Lake in the town of Malta, where Dodana's restaurant was for years, and now it's a nostalgia ale house and wine bar. And as you might expect, have a proposal for 96 condos on a lakefront that will create some controversy, and that is certainly the case here. This issue has been in the press, and we wanted to bring some people on to talk about it and give some insight into it and so forth. So our two guests, I'll introduce you both, and then Tim, I'll go back to you. Tim Dunn is Malta Town Councilman since 2015. He serves as president of Dunn Strategy Group, a business and marketing consulting firm, and spent 2 decades working in real estate and economic development. Also, Eliot Creswell is the president of the Saratoga Lake Association. The SLA is a nonprofit organization dating back to the 1930s. I did not know that until you wrote that for me, Eliot. It has over 400 members. You can join on their website if you have a care for Saratoga Lake, and I'm a past member, I need to re-up. Their mission is to promote and enhance the health, safety, sanitation, ecology, recreation, and environmental quality of Saratoga Lake through education, charitable contributions, and environmental action. So Eliot, thank you for coming to us. Tim, back to you. You two, by the way, are our second guest ever on Talking Saratoga, so that may be a Jeopardy question someday, right?
We're
so congratulations! This is really breaking ground for us, and this is our first live broadcast. That'll be the separate.
The green room was fantastic, Dan.
Well, how was the green room? It was good.
The snacks and the beverages in the green room.
And Robin, thank you for setting this up. I have no part of this. She has 100% part of this, and she wants me to help take over some of this. And I keep promising her I will. So far, I've been able to dodge that. But Tim, can you kind of set the table for our viewers here on this more than what I said? And if I was wrong, I'm thick-skinned. Don't be afraid to correct me on what I said so far. What can you tell us about this project, and why is it not sitting well with some of the property owners at the south end of the lake?
No, well, first of all, thank you both for having us on. Far too often what we see in projects of this magnitude is folks not getting involved on the front end, and after it gets built, then everybody gets upset. And so I think we're very fortunate on Saratoga Lake and in the town of Malta that we have a really well engaged local community and folks that really very deeply care about the community. No, you generally characterize the project correctly. What's been proposed for the former South Shore Marina location is a combination of residential and retail uses, sort of a mini community unto itself, with about 96 condos and townhouse units, along with a clubhouse, gym, pool. There's also plans for a restaurant that would be open to the public, and a small public benefit of a public accessible kayak launch with some parking spaces along with it. And you did correctly identify the location. This is the old former Dodana's Nostalgia and South Shore Marina, right at the end of Dunning Street, Plains Road, and corner of 9P.
Excellent. And so what are the next steps if this project is to go forward? Did you just have a meeting 2 nights ago? Is that correct? Can you?
Yeah. So we originally heard the original concept about a year ago on this project, quite a while ago, and it's evolved a little bit. But we did hear a presentation just on Monday night, and the proposal itself, what the developer is looking for is what's called a planned development district, or a PDD. And these are land use tools that are used primarily when there's a project that's desired to be built that doesn't directly align with existing zoning and master plan that are in place. And we see, unfortunately, a lot of these in the town of Malta. For many years, the planned development district was sort of the land use tool of first resort. We've tried to address our zoning and modernize it to avoid these PDDs, because they're essentially an exception to the law. They're an appropriate and usable tool, but they're not the most easily manageable or really not envisioned in master plans and long range plans. We did just hear a proposal from the applicant on Monday night. Last Monday night, this past Monday night, we referred the project to the planning board. And from a process standpoint, once the application for a project is deemed complete by our planning staff, the town board has 30 days to refer that project to the planning board for their review. The planning board is an independent volunteer board that's appointed by the town board. But even though they're appointed by us, they're independent from the town board. There's actually a specific exclusion in state law that prohibits town board members from interfering in the activities of the planning board. The planning board will review this project and its application and all the implications of it in a public and transparent manner as part of regular planning board meetings, and then ultimately provide a recommendation back to the town board to either reject, accept, or modify the proposal. And then ultimately it comes down to the town board to finalize and approve or disapprove the project as it has been proposed. So this is really starting the process. It's definitely a process that will take some time as we go forward.
Okay. Robin, you served as a commissioner in Saratoga Springs. Tim and Robin, do you do these jobs for the glory or all the money? I'm not sure.
The money, obviously. It's all about the money.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Robin,
$220 a week is,
it's
how can you say no to that?
Robin, you have some insight into these processes, as Saratoga has, slightly different, but still parallel, perhaps. Do you have any questions for Tim?
No, I'm actually it's really interesting to hear about how other municipalities, what their process is, and how it works. And I think it's helpful, because I don't think we have a perfect process here by any means. And so, getting feedback early and being able to make adjustments early, I think is always great. And making compromises, which has to happen, are important. But without turning away business, I think Saratoga has suffered from so much regulation that it's been off-putting for new businesses who want to come here, or new developers who want to come here. And so, we don't want that, but we also want to protect our green spaces, and we want to make sure we follow our comp plan, which kind of lays out how the city should be developed and keeps our green belt intact. I know Saratoga Lake is always really challenging because of how many different municipalities border the lake. And so there's no, and correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, and Eliot, you, I'm sure, know way more than me on this subject, but because there's no one person kind of in charge of Saratoga Lake and what happens there, it can be challenging because maybe one municipality wants to do something one way and one doesn't. And when it comes to especially like issues of pollution or the watershed, I know that can be or has been tricky in the past. But Eliot can probably speak to that better than I can.
Okay, great. Well, then in that case, we will shift to Eliot. Eliot, the president of Saratoga Lake Association. Eliot, before we talk about this, I just briefly want to say, well done on Snake Hill. You had a low-key approach. My approach is to throw hand grenades and come in guns a-blazing, and they'd probably be building right now. That would have failed. You had a low-key approach of communication with the Dakes, and I know they listed some reasons of more economic why it was why the project was scuttled, but good for you in what you did there. Congratulations! That's a big win, no matter how it came about. Now on this project, you and I spoke this week, and you don't have so much a pointed view of it. You have a more general, if I recall, but I won't steal your thunder. If you could talk about a Saratoga Lake Association view of this project, and also if you could also talk about your overall stewardship of the lake, your view of why development affects the whole lake, why a small development is so important in ways that may not be obvious to our viewers.
Sure. Well, Tim, it's good to see you. Dan and Robin, thanks for having me. And certainly, I don't know if kudos is the right sentiment, but certainly, it's hard to put where Adam is and what he's doing out of mind at a time like this. It's just an extraordinary act that he's doing, whether it's because he's married to someone from Poland or not. So, the leadership and the courage and all that is just the tip of the spear in terms of what he's dealing with there. So it's, all the good sentiments that we have certainly are with him. And I certainly appreciated hearing an update this morning, or at least this afternoon when we tuned in. So really affecting stuff. So there's no real good segue back to what we're talking about. So I
to the lake.
Yeah, but again, we really appreciate you guys reaching out and sort of the open-minded way of approaching this. And there's a lot to these projects for sure. And as you mentioned, Dan, SLA doesn't have a defined position with regard to South Shore Marina. The Dodanas, that family have been members for many, many years, and they've been pillars for the lake community for decades, running the business in the marina and seeing that grow as the lake community itself grew. So we certainly wish them well in the next chapter, whatever that brings for them. And as Tim mentioned, the Mangino family, just a little bit down 9P, are potentially in a similar situation, longstanding pillars looking to maybe transition their property and business and open a next chapter. And, we welcome that. We encourage that. We certainly wouldn't want to oppose that. But to your point, Dan, in terms of a broader perspective, just a little bit of history for SLA. As you mentioned, we've been around since the 30s and 40s. At that time, we were called the Saratoga Lake Property Owners Association. And we've since morphed into SLA. We were incorporated as we were in the mid 90s. So that's the current sort of composition of SLA. But the roots, many of the bylaws, the members, the challenges go back generations. And the lake itself is not what it used to be. And that's not I don't mean that in a remorseful or regretful way, but like everything in our lives, it changes over time. And lakes, especially when they have a human footprint in and around them, take ongoing maintenance. They don't just find equilibrium on their own, or at least if they do, it's not an equilibrium that's necessarily compatible with human interaction. The water will change, certain events will happen, the quality, et cetera. And so it takes stewardship, it takes attention, it takes management, it takes an active collection of partners, frankly. And so SLA has been sort of the constant voice of the neighbors, of the people that come and live here, whether it's year round or seasonally. We've interacted with municipalities as best we can. Those relationships, like any, there have been times where they're really strong and close. There have been other times where they're more strained or distant. And we're constantly working to improve that from our perspective. And so just to bring this down to a really specific example, I think, Robin, you highlighted this dynamic. If you think of a typical oval bathtub, that's not dissimilar to the shape and contour of Saratoga Lake. And while we may draw lines around that as political and geographic entities, the bathtub doesn't know any different. The bathtub doesn't know where Stillwater ends and where Saratoga begins. And if you fill that bathtub with water and squirt a bunch of, say, food coloring in there, the food coloring is not going to ask you where the Malta town line is and say, well, I'm not supposed to go beyond here because I'm from Malta. I'm going to stay to my little corner. And so, I don't mean to be cute with it, but that's the dynamic. And
that's helpful, actually. That's
a good analogy.
The stewardship element comes in. And so, again, by way of a short history lesson, in 1986, legislation was passed at the state level to create the Saratoga Lake Protection and Improvement District. Many you may know it by SLIPID as the acronym. That they have 5 commissioner seats, 1 for each municipality, and then an at-large seat. And then luckily, they very recently appointed a full-time staff member, Christina, who is just doing a tremendous job. She has deep roots in this area, cares very, very deeply about the lake. So that's a government entity. They are a government entity. They're a taxing authority. Their jurisdiction runs just a little bit past the bridge on Fish Creek on Union Ave, if you're familiar. And they collect money and they run those big, weird orange harvester things that you might see out on the water. Those are theirs. And they do pesticide applications, different things. So we're always trying to complement what they do. We are a 501c3. We're a nonprofit. We are, a very different animal. But the more we can have, healthy communicative relationships with the town of Malta, with Stillwater, who I give a lot of credit for showing, a lot of leadership and forward thinking on this stuff. In addition to all our business and individual members, we have a terrific board. We have terrific members, and maybe we can book another hour sometime and I can tell you how great they all are. But, hopefully that kind of zooms out a little bit in that a little project like Snake Hill, like Cedar Bluff, like South Shore, certainly we respect property owners' rights. We are many of those property owners. That's not what we're about. But we're also trying to think about the parts and the whole, the forest and the trees at the same time, so that the long-term health of the lake, the property value, the recreational value, the ecological value that it brings to Saratoga, we get to share them with future generations, just like past ones did for us.
Great.
So is there, Eliot, do you have specific concerns about this proposal that you've articulated to Tim or the bodies that are debating it right now, the planning boards and whatnot?
You're talking about the South Shore project?
Correct.
Yeah, we've had some board members put together some commentary and some specific kind of technical points on particular aspects of it. And Tim and the other board members have seen those, and they're very thoughtfully weighing them. So, but we don't, at the moment, we're not sort of for or against. We recognize that things change over time, and again, the Dodonas have worked hard over the years, and if this is their next chapter, then we wish them well. But stormwater mitigation is always top of mind, and the reason for that, if you think about that bathtub model, everything that's higher than the lake is going to drain into the lake. The watershed for Saratoga Lake is over 240 square miles. We have a larger drainage area than Lake George. I don't know if people really fully appreciate that. Things that happen in Northumberland and Charlton and Greenfield, it's a trickle, but it still is all part of the same ecological system. And so it's all about balance. How can we allow, responsible, modest development where it's appropriate in alignment with zoning and regulations, of course, that also preserve the quality of the lake that draws the development in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. There are examples of lakes, Ballston Lake has been dealing with some of these issues. There's been examples of lakes that have frankly just had to shut down. They are not approachable or swimmable or interactable with human or animal life. And that's a little bit gloom and doom. I don't mean to emphasize that, but that is in the realm of possibility given certain circumstances. So, we're trying to engage. We're trying to listen to everybody we can, and it's a tough task that the town has and the developers to find something that everybody can agree with. So,
yeah, and
Well, Eliot, I
Eliot
gotta say,
hits on a couple really great points there, and the stormwater runoff is really, from where I sit, one of the biggest concerns. You have some interesting scenarios along the Malta shoreline of Saratoga Lake, and we're only one community, obviously, in the lake, but we have a significant part of Saratoga Lake in the town of Malta that isn't really buildable. They're with slopes and in other areas, you're not seeing a lot of development pressure in those areas because it's just not practical. We have two rather large parcels on the lakefront in Dodana's / South Shore Marina and the Mangino's property that are larger, that have seen commercial operations in the past, but they're what's called non-conforming uses that are they're legal non-conforming uses, excuse me, because they were there before the zoning. And then you have all these other properties along the lake that are residential. But what we've seen is this transition over the generations where, in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, a lot of these properties were seasonal camps. They might have been 800,000 square foot houses that were used just in the summertime, that now over generations, people love the lake and they want to enjoy time in the lake. And those smaller seasonal properties have become year round and sometimes larger properties. I used to serve on the Malta zoning board, and let me tell you, on a monthly basis, we would have a variance request come in seeking to, build larger than the footprint somewhere down on the lakefront with one of these smaller properties. And you drive along the lakefront and you can see the very, very small lot lines with the building coverage on these lot lines. That's something that, you want to encourage people to live on and enjoy the lake. But I'm not sure that the balance has been found there in the way that we have regulated that and allowed for variances along the lake. There aren't a lot of opportunities for developments along the lake where the town can really have more of a regulatory approach to stormwater. And, if someone wants to encourage business growth, I hesitate to ever use the word regulate, because I shudders from my youth as a Reagan supporter of regulation. But the reality is, if governments don't take stormwater management seriously, it's going to really, really significantly impact the lake. And this is a project in particular where we want to make sure it's done correctly to make sure that we can improve stormwater management in that neighborhood.
Great.
Well, I there's so much to talk about here, but I've got to wrap you guys, only because we have another segment coming up and we've gone a little long. But I just have to say, the big difference I'm seeing here between how we do things in Saratoga Springs and what you're describing is that we never don't have someone that doesn't have a strong opinion. So hearing Eliot say he's not for or against, I'm like blown away. So I think
Robin,
that's a good sign.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, Robin. Before Eliot goes, Eliot, say the website, and I think it's just $35 for someone to join SLA. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's various memberships, but yeah, saratogalake.org, and there's a big old join us button right there at the top. Thank you.
Sorry, Robin, back to you. Thank you.
And to find more information on the project, you could go to malta-town.org. And if you click through to our planning department, you'll see documents listed there and a link for proposed planning districts. And you'll be able to find this information on the project.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
We'll Robin, you're a whiz at providing those things on our Talking Saratoga sites and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I'll make sure I get that information out. Thank you both so much for your approach and for coming on and for being so collaborative in all these projects. I think it's the best thing for everybody. So Thank you. We appreciate it. And I hope we can have you back soon.
Thank you. Best to Adam.
Thank you. We wanted to welcome Abby, who is the president and CEO of Empire Media, which publishes Saratoga Living and Capital Region Living magazines, as well as programs for SPAC, the Albany Symphony, and other nonprofit organizations. You just had a brand new issue of Saratoga Living come out. I don't know if people can see it. It is beautiful. Looks awesome. And there's so much good stuff inside. And we want to go through some of it. It's fun stuff. We're doing another little kind of left turn here. Gone from war to zoning and lakes, but now we're going to fun lifestyle, drinking and eating. And you have a lot of good scoop in here about things that are opening and happening and new. And one of the things that I know that we were talking about was, let's see, SPAC programming is a big thing. They just announced some programming that's really exciting.
Yes, everyone, we're just so excited for the summer after one completely canceled season and then an abbreviated one last year. They're coming back full force this year. We've got Yo-Yo Ma, we've got Joshua Bell, we've got all 90 ballet dancers coming back this year. It's going to be an amazing summer. So we're all very, very excited.
That is awesome. I know there's a lot of some restaurant and bar news too. We've got some new hotspots opening soon.
Yes, we're seeing a ton of activity coming out of COVID. It's really exciting. So much so that we've really ramped up our food and drink coverage in the magazine. So if that is an interest of anybody, we do encourage you to start picking up the magazine. We're doing more and more stories. Some of the new stuff that's happening here in downtown Saratoga, everyone's talking about bocage. The biggest question I'm being asked is, are they only serving champagne? No, of course not.
This is, by the way, this is the little champagne bar. We had talked about this on Phyla Street, correct?
Yep, it's on Phyla Street, just off of Broadway. It's in the space that used to be a falafel place. It's very small. It's going to be, I called it a confection of a bar. It's just this tiny, beautiful little jewel box that's serving champagne, but they are serving still wines as well, and they will have a full bar. Going into summer, their plans are to start serving brunch. They're going for a kind of tea party type brunch, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
So the other big piece of news that I've been hearing about was we know the Martell brothers who own Druthers and also opened Seneca, which are two, really favorites of people in Saratoga Springs and beyond. The stadium space that has been vacant for some time on Broadway is being taken over by the Martells, I believe, and they are opening up a really exciting new concept of a restaurant there.
Yep, it's
correct?
Tegnelia, and they experimented with sort of this noodle concept by doing some pop-ups at Seneca, which you mentioned. And half of the menu will be different ramen dishes, which is really exciting because we don't have that here. And half are small plates, your sort of bao buns and your other Asian small plates that are really fun to share. And they're going to have a full bar. It's going to be a really fun environment. And just like you said, something different.
I'm so pumped about that. Who doesn't love ramen, right, guys?
Yes. If I can make a slight correction, because they're a longtime Saratoga Report advertiser, 9 Miles East, which does everything well, does do ramen every Wednesday. Now they're not a ramen restaurant, but I do want to point that out.
And their ramen is
partial to 9 Miles East. But is there anything that the Martell brothers touch that doesn't turn out terrific? Right? You just know this is going to be terrific.
Yes. They've got the special sauce. That is for sure. They got the special sauce. There was a couple other restaurants that you'd mentioned that were expanding and or opening that I didn't know about, but I know our viewers would want to hear about.
Sure. Fans of the Hideaway, I think, is one of the ones you're probably referring to, which is over at Saratoga Lake Golf Club. And it's not, non-members can definitely go. It's a great little lunch spot. They've got great cocktails, sandwiches, that kind of thing. They are opening up a new place called Iron's Edge in Ballston Spa. Same type of feel, but new menu items. We talked about Rhea, we talked about bocage. Oh, and then Artisanal Brew Works is opening a much bigger tap room on the way to Nove from downtown. And they're offering Bloody Marys, their first kind of cocktail. So we're hoping they're going to expand. And very exciting for us is they're going to do a beer garden for the summer, which is super fun. And then hopefully down the road, they are going to have a restaurant component.
Abby, prediction, where will be the hot spots this summer for bars or restaurants? What do you think is going to be like? Where are the lines going to be?
I'm a sparkling wine girl myself, so I'm really pushing bocage myself. I think Morrissey's, again, you can't beat it. Location, ambiance, they are just moving so fast, trying to get all of these new things, all the new renovations and new concepts up and running. I'm hoping those two, and also you can easily walk back and forth between those two. So I think that you're going to see a lot of action on that part of the street, walking back and forth across Broadway, I think.
Dan, what are your favorite summer, spring outdoor eating spots? Do you have any favorites?
You mentioned you mentioned Seneca earlier, and my wife and I love it there. We've never been to the outdoor patio, but we absolutely love it there. Anywhere along Broadway, is there a bad seat at any restaurant? You're going to get great food, a beautiful view. The ambiance, the commotion is actually appealing to me. I'm a Saratoga lover from the heart. We talked earlier, Abby, and I won't get back to getting so serious again, but we are so fortunate here. When there's serious things going on in the world, we realize we're that much more fortunate. But even when life is pretty even keeled, we still are so fortunate here to have what we have here in Saratoga Springs. Are there some problems? Certainly. Is it perfect? Are there things we need to address? Do we have to become more human? Absolutely. But at the same time, I'm going to enjoy life as much as I can during times that I can. Again, we're taking pauses.
And you know what makes everything better? A drink and a good meal, right?
Yes.
And you said Broadway restaurants. I got to just give a shout out to my little hood down on Henry Street, because Henry Street is popping. There's so many great spots down there. Down Phyla, this new champagne bar, but then you keep going. You've got Hattie's.
You're right.
Yeah,
it's not limited. It's in the outskirts. Even the outskirts. You mentioned Nove, and there's other restaurants into Wilton, and down in Malta. We have a plethora of choices here.
And as well. I love Boston Spa restaurants.
Of course, I'm going to tell everybody to eat in Saratoga Springs, because we like the sales tax, right? So everybody eat in Saratoga Springs, please. But Abs, you also were telling me about this concept that's opening up, I think, at the mall, that I was like dying over, because I thought it was so interesting.
Are you talking about the X-Files Museum?
The X-Files Museum, Saratoga. We are getting an X-Files Museum.
At the mall.
What does that even mean?
Oh, it's going to be something. I'm pretty excited to go down there. They have now, since press time, they have committed to the opening date of April 30th. So we still have a few weeks. This couple loves the X-Files. They have a great story. They have been collecting things for years now. And they actually bring their memorabilia on the road to the various X-Files conventions and things. But they have some items from the actual shows that were so big they have been unable to travel with them. So when I'm talking fans from around the world, I am literally talking. We've been getting messages from people around the world dying for this museum, and the show creator, which in this world is a god, is coming to the opening on April 30th. Wow. So we're talking a big deal. David Duchovny himself on TMZ gave his blessing. Then we have the show creator. There's a lot of things coming to the ribbon cutting. I mean, this is sort of a big deal. So very exciting.
Can I put you on the spot? Do you know where in the mall this is going to be?
No, it's actually on Route 50, just past the mall.
Oh, I'm sorry, on the other side. That's right. Across Route 50.
Exactly.
So I love this. We can say, like, we have
an article. I don't have it on.
We've got the racing museum, the dance museum. We've got a children's museum, and then we've got an X-Files museum. That's awesome.
Back to the current issue of the magazine. I have not seen it yet, but based on your previous issues, your articles and your pictures just pop. That is such an enjoyable read, that magazine. So I encourage all of our readers. Abby, briefly tell readers where they can find Saratoga Living, the current issue.
We are a free magazine. We're in Hannaford. We're in Price Chopper. We're in Select Stewart's. And we are in all of the boutiques and most of the restaurants in downtown and in places all over the Capital Region. Robin did show our flip side, which is Capital Region Living. And that does mean that we are, we're down as far as Greene County and north as far as Glens Falls. So we are literally all over. So.
Well, I just want to say thanks, Abby, because we are big supporters of local media and local journalism. And I know it's been a struggle for everyone to get through the pandemic. And you guys, have kept going and persevered. And your online content is fantastic. And we're so appreciative that you do what you do. And we hope we can have you back again to talk about, upcoming issues. And you've always got the tea. You've always got the scoop. So we got to keep our viewers informed.
I would love to come on anytime, and thank you for talking about local journalism. I talk to other local journalists at all of the different outlets as often as I can. We have all been trying to work together, and it is a struggle, and we're all trying to think outside the box to bring you guys everything you want to read and see and everything. So thank to the community for your support, and we definitely do need it. So.
And everyone check out SaratogaLiving.com, because that's a lot of that good online content is there, which gets updated pretty frequently. You guys turn out a lot of great content.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Abby. We are going to let you go so Dan and I can do our quick cheer and jeer and then sign off. But thank you. We appreciate your coming on.
See you soon.
Dan, it's just you and me now, bud.
Wow, breaking new ground.
I know. Should we wrap up with our cheer and jeer for the week?
Yes, absolutely. Would you like to go first, or you would like me to go first?
Why don't you take it away? Take it away.
Okay. Well, the cheer is going to be obvious to not just Adam Israel, but all the Adam Israels out there, whether they're from Saratoga or California or other countries, the people that are helping in Poland and other areas of Europe. This humanitarian crisis, war first, and then a humanitarian crisis resulting. They often go hand in hand, of course. God bless Adam. God bless everybody that's out there. The spouses back home, like Adam's wife, that are doing everything. I can't say enough. I feel so small when I think about what people like Adam are doing, and I'm just not in a position to do what they're doing to go over there. So I thank the world that we have the Adam Israels of the world, and so many like him, and the families back home that take care of the home front. And God bless these victims and refugees. And again, go to Adam's Facebook page or others, Letters for Hope for Ukraine. You can go on there. So that is my cheer. I don't have an official jeer, but within the past 20 hours, Robin, as we briefly talked, is there's and I'm not jeering Gaffney's, but that issue has come up. That's a negative issue that we need to follow up on next week. We weren't. This just started breaking, at least as a major news story yesterday, that some police officers got injured and some issues going there. Gaffney's is denying certain things, so we're just not in a position to talk about that story yet, but we will soon enough, right?
I want to say one quick thing about that, though. Gaffney's over the last summer, when I was public safety commissioner, were very proactive in working with us when things were getting really rough downtown, and they really did put forth some extra effort to make sure they were in communication with the police department when an issue came up, and got us there right away so things didn't escalate. I just have to say one quick thing about that. I see online everyone talking about how we have to shut down Gaffney's, pull their liquor license, shut down Gaffney's. And I just have to say, if anyone in Saratoga Springs thinks that our downtown problem on Caroline Street will be solved by closing a single bar, you are sorely mistaken. That is not the answer. This is a symptom, that is not a cause. And we have to have a much bigger picture conversation about how and why we have this really intense, hard partying scene that has really spiraled out of control and is putting everyone's safety at risk. But shutting down one bar, guess what, guys? You want to know what's going to go into that bar when it gets leased again? Some other iteration of Gaffney's. It's not going to change a thing. So I just want people to realize that and kind of understand that this is not just like a problem relating to one single spot. So anyway, quick note on that. But my cheer and jeer for the week. My cheer is Chowderfest. Chowderfest is something I've loved going to when it started. It kind of turned into a little bit of a beast. I didn't love it the last couple of years because it just turned into like a massive drunk fest, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But I'm glad that it's back this year, and I love how they're doing it, which is all week long when it starts. You can order chowder or go to all the participating restaurants and have chowder and taste it and sample it and rate it and whatnot. And then they're having a Saturday event, but they're trying to incorporate, I know, some kids elements and whatnot. And I know it's great for the restaurants and businesses and bars. I hope that people maybe don't decide to like go crazy, binge drink and go nuts the way they have in years past with this kind of new iteration of how it's happening. But I'm just glad to see it back, as I am with everything else that's been gone during COVID. I'm glad it's back. My jeer for the week is not local. It is Bill Barr. Bill Barr, you suck. You sucked when you were in office, or when you were appointed. He was our attorney general under Trump. He in December of 2020, he came out being very critical of Trump. In the last month of his presidency, we needed you to be critical a lot sooner than that, Bill Barr. Now you've got a book. You're going out doing interviews because you're trying to sell your book. Don't buy the book, people. Don't buy the book. He screwed up big time when he was attorney general, and let's not support him now and put money in his pocket because he's decided to tell his story and make some money off of it. So, Bill Barr, you're my jeer of the week. You suck. Also, Putin, you're my jeer permanently. You're evil. You're awful. You are putting this one man is putting the entire world in jeopardy, and it's affected millions and millions of people because of one deluded man. So if I were in charge, I would have every weapon in this world pointed at him, because the guy's got to go. So Putin, we're watching you.
Well done, Robin.
Dan?
Well done. Well done.
Thanks. I'm sure he's shaking in his boots right now when he sees this. You know, he'll be terrified that I've said that. But we are going to try to be back up live again tomorrow with Adam when he's on the border. But other than that, we will see you all next week. I think our new format, our new platform was working well. I didn't get it going as much as I wanted to. It's a little tricky. We're figuring it out, but happy to have another episode of Talking Saratoga.
Wow, you did a great job, Robin. Thank you for all the years. She is the tech person. She's not only the on-air talent, she is the tech person, folks.
We're trying. All right, Dan. Well, thank you so much. We will be back in a week.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Should we wrap up with our cheer and jeer for the week?
Yes, absolutely. Would you like to go first, or you would like me to go first?
Why don't you take it away? Take it away.
Okay. Well, the cheer is going to be obvious to not just Adam Israel, but all the Adam Israels out there, whether they're from Saratoga or California or other countries, the people that are helping in Poland and other areas of Europe. This humanitarian crisis, war first, and then a humanitarian crisis resulting. They often go hand in hand, of course. God bless Adam. God bless everybody that's out there. The spouses back home, like Adam's wife, that are doing everything. I can't say enough. I feel so small when I think about what people like Adam are doing, and I'm just not in a position to do what they're doing to go over there. So I thank the world that we have the Adam Israels of the world, and so many like him, and the families back home that take care of the home front. And God bless these victims and refugees. And again, go to Adam's Facebook page or others. Letters for Hope for Ukraine. You can go on there. So that is my cheer. I don't have an official jeer, but within the past 20 hours, Robin, as we briefly talked, is there's and I'm not jeering Gaffney's, but that issue has come up. That's a negative issue that we need to follow up on next week. We weren't. This just started breaking, at least as a major news story yesterday, that some police officers got injured and some issues going there. Gaffney's is denying certain things, so we're just not in a position to talk about that story yet, but we will soon enough, right?
I want to say one quick thing about that, though. Gaffney's over the last summer, when I was public safety commissioner, were very proactive in working with us when things were getting really rough downtown, and they really did put forth some extra effort to make sure they were in communication with the police department when an issue came up, and got us there right away so things didn't escalate. I just have to say one quick thing about that. I see online everyone talking about how we have to shut down Gaffney's, pull their liquor license, shut down Gaffney's. And I just have to say, if anyone in Saratoga Springs thinks that our downtown problem on Caroline Street will be solved by closing a single bar, you are sorely mistaken. That is not the answer. This is a symptom, that is not a cause. And we have to have a much bigger picture conversation about how and why we have this really intense, hard partying scene that has really spiraled out of control and is putting everyone's safety at risk. But shutting down one bar, guess what, guys? You want to know what's going to go into that bar when it gets leased again? Some other iteration of Gaffney's. It's not going to change a thing. So I just want people to realize that and kind of understand that this is not just like a problem relating to one single spot. So anyway, quick note on that. But my cheer and jeer for the week. My cheer is Chowderfest. Chowderfest is something I've loved going to when it started. It kind of turned into a little bit of a beast. I didn't love it the last couple of years because it just turned into like a massive drunk fest, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But I'm glad that it's back this year, and I love how they're doing it, which is all week long when it starts. You can order chowder or go to all the participating restaurants and have chowder and taste it and sample it and rate it and whatnot. And then they're having a Saturday event, but they're trying to incorporate, I know, more some kids elements and whatnot. And I know it's great for the restaurants and businesses and bars. I hope that people maybe don't decide to like go crazy, binge drink and go nuts the way they have in years past with this kind of new iteration of how it's happening. But I'm just glad to see it back, as I am with everything else that's been gone during COVID. I'm glad it's back. My jeer for the week is not local. It is Bill Barr. Bill Barr, you suck. You sucked when you were in office, or when you were appointed. He was our attorney general under Trump. He in December of 2020, he came out being very critical of Trump. You know, in the last month of his presidency, we needed you to be critical a lot sooner than that, Bill Barr. Now you've got a book. You're going out doing interviews because you're trying to sell your book. Don't buy the book, people. Don't buy the book. He screwed up big time when he was attorney general, and let's not support him now and put money in his pocket because he's decided to tell his story and make some money off of it. So, Bill Barr, you're my dear of the week. You suck. Also, Putin, you're my dear permanently. You're evil. You're awful. You are putting this one man is putting the entire world in jeopardy, and it's affected millions and millions of people because of one deluded man. So, if I were in charge, I would have every weapon in this world pointed at him. Because the guy's got to go. So, Putin, we're watching you.
Well done, Robin.
Dan?
Well done. Well done.
Thanks. I'm sure he's shaking in his boots right now when he sees this. You know, he'll be terrified that I've said that. But we are going to try to be back up live again tomorrow with Adam when he's on the border. But other than that, we will see you all next week. I think our new format, our new platform was working well. I didn't get it going as much as I wanted to. It's a little tricky. We're figuring it out, but happy to have another episode of Talking Saratoga.
Wow, you did a great job, Robin. Thank you for all the years. She is the tech person. She's not only the on-air talent, she is the tech person, folks.
We're trying. All right, Dan. Well, thank you so much. We will be back in a week.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.